if you do that, if that winds up coming to pass, my best advice is to set the bar high so it means something. Then hold everybody to the same set of high credentials and not grandfather people in, not just let folks in because they've been good, quote unquote, servants of the industry or servants of the organization, but make everybody earn their certifications and make sure that that bar is high. Because when the bar remains low, the people who actually get those things, get the certifications, it just devalues them. Another habit, excellent communication. So it's just by a show of hands. How many people by a show of hands think that they're good communicators? Okay. How many people think that a majority of the people that they work with are good communicators? It probably tells you a little bit about yourselves, right? The truth of the matter is communication is a skill just like any other skill. Whether it's written, whether it's verbal, whether it's presentation and spoken, all communication is a skill and it needs to be developed. I figured I'd give you guys just some areas I think are communication skills that everybody possesses or everybody has to rely on, and some guidance just about resumes. There are probably, I don't know, hundreds of books about resumes. Everybody has opinions on resumes. The opinions are free advice, so you get what you pay for, right? So the truth about resumes, and I see them, is that what a resume really is the paper version of you. It's the chance that you have to actually present yourself to either a peer group, a prospective, a potential employer, when you're applying for additional education or a speaking slot or whatever it is. Your resume is really the paper version of you to somebody who doesn't know who you are from day one. So a couple things that I think are very key in effective resumes. Number one is that at some point in time, to quantify your results. It's not just enough to say that you have a skill. You should be able to say that the skill that you have has affected something in a positive way. And to show that in relevance that the audience looking at that resume is going to say, wow, if they affected that change over at their organization, they can do the same thing here for ours. Focus on things that are relevant. I see sometimes that people list, when they're 20 years into their career and they're listing like an internship that they had, in 1988. I think that what you should do is that you should think about the things that are the most relevant to the positions that you're searching for and the most relevant to your career goals in general. You should also have a very good understanding of what you are qualified to do. You should apply for positions that are logical for you to go out and actually achieve them. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't reach and that you shouldn't have lofty aspirations. But somebody who has been a security engineer for 4 or 5 years and have managed a couple projects with some people is not qualified to be a chief information security officer. Objective statements in most resumes are death. Everybody tells you that you should write an objective. The only time that you should use an objective in a resume is if the objective is to get the exact job that you're applying for. Your resume, for wherever you send your resume to, you should know about the position that you're applying for, and you should tailor, if you are compelled to have an objective statement, the objective should be to gain employment at your company in some sort of quasi-marketing form that makes you look good. But it should really kind of focus on whatever that position is at hand, which really shows that you understand your audience. Things that are bad. Redundancy. It's the #1 killer in length in resumes. When resumes get too long, people stop editing the things that they did in the past. You only have to tell somebody that you did, your resume should show a progression. If they show that you've been running on your career's been on a treadmill for quite some time, chances are it's not going to fly well with somebody looking for somebody who's going to, affect new change in their organization. You shouldn't embellish. People like to say that if I manage bigger projects or more people or, bigger organizations or have loftier titles, all those types of things don't mean anything. They just don't. If anything, unless you're dealing with somebody who's really skilled at looking and judging that resume itself, a lot of times they will scan, most like internet type programs or corporate internal recruiters will scan you out because they'll say, this person's overqualified. You should really focus on the things that you have done and make sure that you can validate them. Don't think that scale is a real, scale is really not as important as what it is that you've done and the effect that you've had the effect that you've had. Listing a whole bunch of keywords. Security is not a keyword business. It just isn't. There are about so many different disciplines within our industry. So if you keyword something, most people are going to say, it'll get you to like through the HR filters and everything like that. But when it comes down to it, you will meet somebody who actually knows something deep about one of those keywords, and they will grill you on it. And when they grill you on it, and you don't know much about it, they're going to say, why the heck did you list it? Is everything else on your resume inaccurate? So you should be very focused on accuracy. I'll tie this one in. I've never met, I see resumes all day long that have the word expert on it. Anybody have a resume that claims that they're an expert in the room? I'm sure somebody does. Anyhow, the experts that I know don't have to tell anybody that they're experts. People know that they're experts. Question?
I do recommend using appropriate keywords, however. Don't keyword is, yeah. But you won't get past my filters if you don't use appropriate keywords.
Well, as long as you know about it. I mean, if you don't list a keyword that, if you're very good at software security, you can list any keyword about, as long as you know about it, but don't list the language that you don't understand. So just be accurate, so don't embellish. But yes, you should use keywords that you're proficient in. And don't hide from the truth. If you've had a misstep in your career, something didn't work out too long, you were at a job for 60 days and it didn't work out, everybody's allowed a mulligan. Everybody's allowed a bad decision. I think sometimes showing somebody how you deal with adversity is a lot better than hiding from it. I think it's a good characteristic and it's a good quality. And if somebody doesn't value that as a character, as a quality, you probably don't want to work for that type of a person, because nobody here is perfect. We've all made mistakes and bad judgments in our careers. And you know what? We either reap the rewards or we pay for the consequences. Another good trait that people have is that they're good interviewers. You know what the #1 reason that people fail interviews are? Anybody have a guess? It's a lesson that you learn in grade school. I'll take this from Jeff Foxworthy. Everybody watch that? Are you smarter than a 5th grader? They don't do their homework. They don't do their homework about the company. They don't do their homework about the person that they're talking to, or the people they're going to be meeting with, how their roles are going to interact with other folks. They come to the meeting ill-prepared. They don't understand